Hello and welcome to the BMW M2 CS, what is a limited edition to the smallest M car on sale today. Really just turned up to 11. The M2 CS, which stands for Club Sport, is the final iteration of this generation of 2 Series before a next generation product of the Coupe and Cabriolet go on sale next year. Now, it is a limited production model. 2,200 of them will be produced globally, either with a 6-speed manual transmission or a 7-speed dual clutch, and it gets the power plant from the M4 Competition, the previous generation M4 Competition, the F82. So it has a 3-litre twin-turbocharged straight-six engine with 444 horsepower and 405 pound-feet of torque. Now, it isn't just the power that makes the CS more interesting. We get quite a few additional bits of exotic materials in this M2. So the bonnet is carbon fiber reinforced plastic. It has that power dome built in like the M4 and M3 do, and functional heat extraction. We've got a carbon fiber splitter, wing mirror, spoiler, and diffuser. And you'll note that the roof is in this checkerboard carbon look. Looks fantastic. You also have unique 19-inch rims wrapped in Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires. Here you see them in black. You can get them in a matte gold option. You can see just how large those front discs are and really how there's only 2 or 3 millimeters of space between the brake calipers and the rim itself. With all the exterior changes, there is also some fundamental changes with the interior. For the driver and front passenger, their seats are supple leather and lots of Alcantara used throughout the cabin, and a carbon fiber transmission tunnel, which gets rid of your center console storage and an armrest. So more on that later. So there's a lot that's gone into this M2 CS, which inflates its price and really gives this thing more of a collector car status. It's limited run, it's a special edition, and it really is representing perhaps the end of an era for BMW. So if I'm behind the wheel of this thing, I best let you know how the M2 CS is actually like to drive. So from behind the wheel, the M2 CS is just fantastic. It's such a communicative, enthusiastic vehicle without being so serious that you have the fear that you can't enjoy it. 444 horsepower feels just right for the road and is honestly really quite thrilling. The brakes, oof, I was barely even pushing it then, but they're incredible. Carbon ceramic brakes are available on the M2 CS, but I don't know why you'd bother. These steel brakes are fantastic, and they squeal as much as a carbon ceramic setup would anyways. The steering is vibrant, has lots of communication to it, and even though it's quite a thick wheel, it doesn't feel so difficult to manage. And there's often times where the M2 CS might tramline, but it never does anything to surprise you. And the manual transmission is so easy to interact with, it almost feels like you're cheating. You have hill start assist, automatic rev matching, automatic stop start if you put the car in neutral and come to a stop, and there's such a springy nature to this gear lever that whatever gear you want to go into mentally, it always goes into there. You have to really try to miss a shift, and you really have to be doing something wrong to stall this thing. It feels unstallable. There's a couple different driving modes or ability to change around driving functions. In the M2 CS, you have the M1 and M2 buttons on the steering wheel, which are preset to whatever you desire, but you have 3 different modes for the engine, 3 modes for the adaptive dampeners, and 3 for the steering weight. In addition to that, you can also have full traction control, MDM, which is kind of like a halfway for the traction, and then also have the traction fully off. The way I usually drive is have Sport Plus for the engine and the dampeners, Sport for the steering, and of course keep the traction control on, because even if you aren't trying to, the M2 CS can step out a little bit. Really, if you're trying to push with cold tires. But the joyful thing about this M2 CS is that even though you have a great amount of power and great amount of drama, it doesn't ever feel like you're going so fast on the road that you can't enjoy yourself, or you're going to get yourself into serious trouble. You have that thrill of acceleration, but you can pause it and calm it down by judging how quickly you want to change gears or how aggressively you want to change gears. For me, it's, I think, the right amount of power for the road. Anything more, you're just making unnecessary claims. The engine note doesn't feel enhanced. Nothing about this really feels artificial, and the adaptive dampeners are just so simply stated in their goals that you never really worry about the ride quality on a horrible bit of road like this. But the most surprising element of the M2 CS for me is that if I just get out of M1 mode and I put the engine in efficient, this becomes a strangely capable commuter car. When it comes to just driving about normally, the car always wants you to be 2 or 3 gears higher than what you are. So I'm going about at 60 kilometers right now, and it wants me to go in the 6th. Between comfort and sport mode, there's a little bit more suspension travel, I'll say, in the comfort setting. But I actually don't find the M2 CS's ride to be harsh at all. It feels perfectly manageable, perfectly reasonable, and given just how plush these seats are, I'm never complaining when it comes to ride quality. And a lot of the driving I've been doing in this has been on typical day-to-day drives. Though the M2 is sending lots of road information to me and the rest of the cabin, the chassis isn't really being affected by it, and the overall comfort isn't being affected. It's like someone knocking on your door to deliver a parcel rather than just kicking the door down to deliver a message. Of course, it isn't a perfect commuter car. This space is quite boomy, a lot of echoes to it. If you have the engine in Sport or Sport Plus, the droning is really accentuated by that butterfly system. And not having some kind of storage in the center console is a little bit annoying. You usually end up just throwing everything onto the passenger seat, so hope you never bring someone along, or else you're just going to be tossing stuff into the back seats too. But that's also the joy of this being a 2 Series at the end of the day. It's still a very usable day-to-day drive. You want to throw stuff in the boot? Go for it. You have 2 kids, they'd be happy here. There's a great view out, build quality is great as always, and even though we're looking at a generation of BMW interiors that are quite past us now, everything still, I think, looks good and works good. I'm happy. I've got Apple CarPlay, dual zone climate control, and a clear set of gauges in front of me. Visibility in every direction is fantastic. The only thing I could really ask for is that painfully there is no keyless entry. Really, the only limiting factor for day-to-day driving with this M2 CS would be the Cup 2 tires, but if you can afford a vehicle like this, I'm sure you can afford a different set of rims and wheels to use every single day. The M2 CS, to me, is everything that I look for in a car that makes it interesting and exciting, but perfectly usable. And you could sell this to really anyone. So if you have the means and you can get your hands on one of these M2 CSs, it's an epic vehicle. And I do hope that if you're going out to buy a vehicle like this, that it won't just be a collector's item. Yes, it is limited edition and it is quite special, but the joy of the M2 CS is getting it out on the road and exercising it within reason. I know if this was my personal vehicle, I would love it and drive it every single day. Thank you very much for watching.